is Nekme Obasoge. I'm broadcasting from Abuja, Nigeria. Our guest on the show is one of those Nigerians who are uplifting the positive image of Nigeria in diaspora. Retired police officer Ojo Tewogbade. In 1972, Mr. Ojo migrated to Toronto, Canada, just like many immigrants. However, in 1979, when there were few black police officers in the Toronto Police Service, Mr. Ojo made history when he became the first Nigerian to be hired as a police constable in the Toronto Police Service. Just listen to the May interview. So, sir, when did you come to Canada?
Well, I came to Canada in September of 1972.
From Nigeria?
Yes, from Nigeria. Lagos. I'm from Lagos.
You were hired as a police constable. What year?
Well, I actually joined Toronto Police in August of 1979, and I was a parking enforcement officer then. Then in 1989, I wrote my test, and I changed job and became a police officer with Toronto Police.
What inspired you to join the police community?
Well, on the 18th of September, 3 days after I arrived in Canada, I was lost in downtown Toronto, and on Queen Anne Yonge Street, and it was a yellow car that stopped and eventually took me home. But when they put me in their car to take me home, I know the address, I just didn't know how to get there. And then one of the officers asked me for my winter coat because it was cold. When I left home, it wasn't cold, but I don't have a coat because I just came to Canada. So they dropped me off at home at 754 Jane Street, and to my surprise, about half an hour later on, the two same officers came back, and they have gone out and bought me a winter coat.
Oh,
and they came and
so
presented it to me, So I was looking at them, and based on what I've heard before about, because when I came to Canada, there was still a little bit of tension between whites and blacks, But for these two white officers to go out and buy me a winter coat, then on that day, I have no idea what I was in. I just, I'd love to be a police officer one day.
Really?
That's the only. So I joined the Canadian Armed Forces shortly after that. And then when I left Canadian Armed Forces, then I went back to Humber College and I took law enforcement and I became a police officer.
So
I was inspired by those two white police officers.
Because you yourself, you like to serve the community,
yes,
that's why.
Absolutely.
Yes.
Oh yes, because I saw firsthand what community-based policing was. Then I said, I'd like to be part of that.
Exactly.
And that's why I joined the police. That was the first Nigerian to be employed as a member of the Toronto Police Force.
Okay. So when you became a police here in Canada, what was the reaction of other Nigerian people here in the community?
Well, it was a mixed reaction. Many loved the idea, and some felt that out of possibly the fact that it was a dangerous job, that you'll be carrying gun, you're going to get killed, and things like that. Well, if you believe in God and you let Him be God, He will always be there for you. But the will of God has to be done. Anyone who's going to die of a train crash will not die of a plane crash. So, but for me, because I was already in the Canadian Armed Forces, I had no fear at all. But many loved it and many didn't.
Okay, when you were hired, you started the training after you were hired.
Yeah, the system here is that you'll be hired, even in Nigeria it's the same thing. You'll be hired as a police officer, and then you have to go to, for instance in Nigeria, you have to go to the police academy. That's what you're doing there, they are training you. So here, when you are hired, any municipal police force in Ontario, in Canada as a matter of fact, in Ontario you have to go to Ontario Police College in Aylmer, Ontario, to be trained there. And then once you finish your training, they certify you, they approved you, then you come back to your own police force.
During the course of the training, were you being paid?
Yes, I was being paid as a cadet. That's correct.
So were you working as well, or just only the training at that time?
I was actually working. The only thing is that I was working employed as a cadet, which is a civilian position. So which means if I fail my courses that I didn't graduate, then I will be fired.
Oh, okay.
So you have to pass all the courses, gun, retention, everything, in order for your individual police force to keep you on. But if you fail over there, then you cannot be a police officer in Ontario.
Really?
Even though it's training, but you have to pass all the tests.
All the tests.
Yes.
Due to his commitment and selfless service, he was appointed as Community Relations Officer in the Community Response Unit in the Aries.
Well, back in the early 80s, there was some incidents with Toronto police and the members of the black community. And so there was tension there because a couple of black people were killed during some kind of incident with the police. And of course, the black community didn't like the way it happened, and so there was tension. And most people don't realize that between Caledonia Road and Spadina Road on Eglinton, they hold the largest number of black businesses, and that's my division, and I was very, very known in that area. So my bosses asked me to try and see if I can pacify and talk to them to calm the situation down a little bit. So I started going door to door, talking to all the black people, explaining things to them, and that's how eventually they made me community relation officer. So I started that, I believe it was 1998, and I did that. They didn't want me to leave that position because it was very, very lucrative position. So I did that until I retired.
Okay. So according to what I read about you, the time you were hired as a police officer here in Toronto, I think they have few blacks who were police officers at that time.
Yes, they have very few. Now there's been they've doubled since then. Shortly after I became police officer, I believe, to my recollection, there were about maybe 5 Nigerians that also became police officers, and each of them were introduced to me by their unit commanders. They were actually told to go to 13th Division where I was to meet with Ojo, and he would put you through, explain things to you. So about 5 Nigerians actually did come to me, and I explained how the job goes and things to them.
What were your challenges at that time?
The challenges, well, sometimes we have problem with fellow police officers. I also have problem with some of the people that you deal with on the street every day, but not the. We can talk about racism, we can talk about discrimination and things like that, and it would be a shame and a lie to say that it doesn't exist, because it does exist. We get 1 or 2, but the way that I rate it is that on the job I might just say 2 police officers like me, whites, that do not enjoy the fact that I'm a police officer, but for every 2 that didn't like me, there is about 60 that likes me.
Yes.
So I have to weigh it out and say, well, I'm not going to worry about those 2. I'm just going to leave them alone.
Yes.
So that was my own experience, anyways. So for every 2 that says no, we don't like you and things like that, there's 60 that says we are right behind you. And the good thing about it is, among the 60 that like me, they are the ones that make decisions. So the 2 that don't like me really don't count, because they are constables like me.
Anyway, so since then, I saw that you have been serving the community. You are organizing annual awards, that is Black History Month award here in Canada. Tell us more about your experience.
With the Black History Month. Well, I believe that started in about 1990, 91. I met with the pastor or the reverend of the British Methodist Episcopal Church, which is exactly the building we still use today for the award ceremony. And he wanted to have a meeting with me, and we did. And he said that he would like to be part of Toronto Police, form partnership with them to recognize police officers for the work they do every day. And that's how we started. So when the Black History Month celebration started, it was just for police officers. Now, it was a good friend of mine, Jean Augustine, MP Jean Augustine, that we were talking about it, and she suggested to me that we should do it during Black History Month, because it would be nice we can integrate that into Black History Month celebration. So it was Reverend Maurice Hicks that started the Black History Month. It was MP Jean Augustine that asked if we could do it in February to make, and the Toronto Police bought the idea, and that's how the Black History Month celebration was born. But as we go along, then we add different other frontline members of fire department, ambulance people, and then community members. So we start adding them to, so that because to emphasize what they were talking about community-based policing.
Okay. Beside that, you have been involving in many community services here in Toronto. I saw that you are also volunteering for the Sea Kids and also for the Aboriginal community, so many communities across Toronto. Tell us more about your volunteering work and community service.
Well, I found that being a member of the community response unit, the Toronto Police, it opens the door for you to meet so many different people from the different areas doing so many events, whether at the mayor's level, whether at the Ontario lieutenant governor's level. So you get to meet so many people, and then only then you find out their needs. So once the need is there and I have the means to satisfy that need, I will just let them know, oh, you're looking for this, oh, I do have it. And then we start kind of exchange things with each other, and that's how I got involved with the Aboriginal people in Perry Sound. So my involvement with them was with the, still is, with the Ojibwe First Nation people in Perry Sound. So I will go up there and do events with them to raise funds for their kids. And because most people don't realize that on the average First Nation reserve, there is approximately minimum of 70 to 75% unemployment rate. Poverty there. So you get kids like 12 years old committing suicide. Yes. You know, 12 years old already having kids. You know, they're just most people don't even know that there was a time in this country that Aboriginal people are not allowed to go beyond certain grade at school. It is against the law for them to go beyond that. You know, so we work with each other. They help us, we help them, and that's how we became very good friends. And so it just keep continuing to extend to many communities, and I just believe in helping each other.
Yes, you believe in serving the community.
Oh yes.
So now, are you retired?
Yes, I retired in September of 2014.
Oh, is there any maybe year limit that you're supposed to serve the community, the police community?
Not really. That would be discrimination against age. There's no age limit as long as you want to continue. It's just that with me, I served 35 years on the front line, and I made a joke once before when my deputy chief asked me if I really mean that I want to retire. And I says, yes. He said, but why? I says, well, when you're chasing a bad guy, a potential criminal, and the bad guy is stopped, turn around, come to you and ask you if you're okay or if you need CPR because you're breathing so heavily. I said, well, it is time to go.
Somebody that you are chasing is asking you if you need help.
Yeah, can I give you CPR? I said, no, okay, then I said, no, it's time to retire. Yes, so I just don't have the energy to chase bad guys anymore. So, but then shortly after I retired, in fact, before I retired, then I became a chaplain for Toronto Police because I was always an ordained minister. So that's why I'm still wearing this uniform now, because I'm an ordained minister for Toronto Police.
Chaplain?
Yes, as a chaplain.
Okay, what is the duty of chaplains?
For me personally, my duty is to attend police functions. I do counseling, and I do, because as an ordained minister, I also do weddings. I have the license to do weddings in Ontario. Baptisms, funerals, and all kinds of things like that. So now I'm in the Toronto Police have a chaplain in every division, but my own is a little bit unique because I was a police officer for 35 years, so I have actually have the experience. So to counsel other police officers, young police officers, I know exactly what to say to them because I've been there.
Yes.
So I'm not just a chaplain, I'm a retired police officer and a chaplain.
With the experience.
With the experience, yes. So that makes a little bit difference for me.
I saw that you have received so many awards. Hey, can you remember how many awards?
I really can't. I know it's probably about 8 pages or something there.
Yes.
Yeah, you know. But I always, each time I receive any award, I always tell the people that are giving me the awards that please keep in mind that this award you are about to give me is not necessarily because of what I do, but I see it as a down payment for what you expect me to do. So I work, as long as there's health, I will continue to serve the community, you know, with everything I've got.
Wow, congratulations, sir.
Particular award there, which I believe I received in 2006, It's called the PLF Award, Police Leadership Award. And Toronto Police was so excited when I won that award because the awards had been there, but it's usually given to command officers, higher ranking officers. There was never a police officer like myself, constable, that ever won it before. Last person to win it with Toronto Police was the deputy chief. And it's always been with other, and it's all across Canada. So when it was announced that Constable Ojo won it, Toronto Police wouldn't believe it, that I won. So to me it was kind of special. And the only other one that, every one of them is special, but when I was also invited by the Ojibwe First Nation to receive an award there, so I was confused. It was just one feather, one eagle feather. So I couldn't understand that with everything we've been doing. But then when the chief was reading his salutation, then he said, you know, PC Ojo, the last time we gave this eagle feather to anyone, we gave it to Queen Elizabeth of England. And the next one we gave to Prime Minister of Canada, because this is the highest honor we can give to anybody. That's when I understand.
I have goosebumps all over my skin. So inspiring.
You know, so then I understand. Then I went and read up on it that the highest honor that the First Nation people can give anybody alive is one single eagle feather.
Wonderful. So, do you have any advice for the younger generation, sir?
Well, I think one of the things is that they should be proud that they are brought here by God's power, because things are much easier now to achieve than when I came here. I will say to you that when I came to this country, the very first job I got, the minimum wage then was $1.80 an hour.
Things were cheaper at that time.
And things were cheaper.
Everything,
you know, we went to school, and racism was a little bit more. But now, if you have the knowledge and you want to educate yourself and things like that, and most of the young people that are coming to Canada these days from Nigeria, they already either have minimum of GCE O level or advanced level. Well, I didn't even have class 4 when I came to Canada. I only have standard 6 because I left school in 1963. You know, but I came with determination that I want to do this, and I set my mind on praying to God that He is the only one who can make it happen. But the thing is that we have to get our kids to stay away from quick money, which is frauds and drugs and all things that, well, maybe quick money and lots of money, but all it does is make them to end up in jail. And once you have criminal record here, then it's almost like everything is over. You know, so you have to be content with what your parents can offer you and be happy with it. And stay in school, keep the peace, and do the best you can, and you find that yes, when you go to look for a job because you're black, you might think that they're not going to give you the job because you're black. Don't let that stop you, because if you think that way, every question they ask you, you're going to answer it negatively. The person asking you the question may not have anything in mind, but you can push them to have it in mind by your own answer, thinking they will give you the job anyways. No, go, if you're a child of God, you know, He's always there to help you. And you have the qualification, don't pile up fraud, don't go with friends that are committing fraud because you want to make good money. You may get away with it twice, but the third time you're going to get caught. And once you get caught and you go to jail, or you have, even if you plead, as long as you're guilty, you don't have to go to jail, you have criminal record, guaranteed.
That's why people need to be careful these days, mostly the younger generation.
Yeah, they need to be careful, and even with the adults. With the men, they need to also be careful to understand that it doesn't matter how smart you are, women are not punch bags. If you beat your wife and you are arrested, you have criminal record. Once you have criminal record, would you believe that with a criminal record in Canada, it automatically means that you are not allowed to go to the States? So if you have an opportunity that you want to go and win the States, once you have criminal record in Canada, the state will not let you win.
You see, right now, that is a new policy.
No, that's the way it always been. So the only thing is now, in order for you to go, your case must be over. You must get a pardon here through the RCMP. And now, even though you get pardon here, United States will not give you a pardon. The only thing is that every time you want to go to the state, you have to pay. It might cost you, I don't know the exact amount, but I think it's between $200 and $500 for every visit because you have a criminal record. And all you did, oh yes, once you have a criminal record, That's it. You have to pay every time you want to go to the state. You have to fill out a form and pay a fee. So if you go to the state 4 times in a year, you pay 4 times in a year because you have a criminal record here. Even if the RCMP have given you pardon, the United States does not. They don't recognize that pardon. You still have to pay.
How do they know that that person has a criminal record?
The computer life. You see, and once you give them your passport, whatever criminal record you have here, it will show over there as well.
Oh Lord have mercy. This is a very important message. Yes.
Oh, yes.
This is a very important one.
You know.
Really?
So they
I
take
never
the,
knew.
oh yeah, they take.
Never knew.
Oh yeah, they take the issue of fighting with your wife, and you can argue that everybody argue. I've been married for 47 years. My wife and I argue, but I have never even called my wife name before. Never lift my finger on my wife.
Domestic violence.
Yes, because what happened is in Africa, most men do it and they get away with it.
Yes.
So now they come here and they do the same thing. But as soon as she calls the police, you're going to go to jail. The man is going to go to jail right away.
Yes.
And when it comes out, guess what? In order to be released, they have to put a condition on him. And part of the condition is he cannot go back to the house. He cannot see his children without social worker being present. He cannot phone the wife. He cannot talk to the wife. And so you see now, so little mistake ruined his life.
Just small mistake.
So small mistake, you know, and it makes the expenses now double. Because he can't go to the house, his kids are there, so he has to be paying expenses for the kids and the wife, and then he has to go and rent another place outside to be living there. But what's the point of living in Nigeria at all if that's what you're going to do?
Yes, and in some cases, I've heard about some cases whereby this domestic violence will lead to child apprehension.
Oh yes, like if I stop you on the road, driving, and I pull you over, and I'm just giving you a scenario now, you're a black woman, I stopped you, and I said, step out of the car, please. And you believe that my action to you is very, very unruly. But what you wouldn't know is that when I put your name through the computer will say violent because you've been involved in domestic violence. You've been convicted of it. So the computer doesn't know how to adjust it. We just say anger management, violent. So when it says that, you just think in terms of if I was your biological brother and I'm doing this job and I stop somebody and the record say violent, I don't know whether it was with gun, you shoot somebody, they just say violent. Well, you will expect, in order for me to come home to my sister, you have to expect, you will expect me to take every precaution. But now you're in the car driving, there are 3 or 4 friends with you. They don't know what you've done. So those 3 friends are saying, oh, this is racism. Why is police officer treating her or treating him like that? But I know what I saw.
Oh, yes.
That it's a very, very violent person.
Yes. It might be a threat to other people.
Exactly. But friends don't always tell each other the truth. Oh, I beat up my wife one time. In fact, I stabbed her with a knife, but not really very bad, but still I was just angry and think they will try to justify it. But now, your friends don't know all those things. But then sometimes they go to the extent that they want to make a complaint. That the way the officer, he rolled down my friend's house, he put him in handcuffs, and we didn't do anything. Yeah, the police say, okay, that's fine. But they don't know the records.
That is just it. Some of them, they won't even say the truth. They will say, Toronto police, they are so racist.
Exactly.
They are so this.